Reporting that sources close to Pete are confirming that Ye is allegedly spreading a false rumor telling friends Pete has AIDS. The thing is, when it comes to rumors, especially in Hollywood, they always have a way of getting back to the people the rumors are about. Ye's camp is apparently denying this allegation, with a source close to Ye telling TMZ that the allegation he's spreading the rumor is nonsense. But earlier in the week, DJ Academics claimed Kanye's been telling everybody within earshot that Pete is suffering with AIDS. And if these allegations against Ye are in fact true, the internet is not here for such childishness. This person on Twitter wrote, "This seems extreme even for Kanye. I don't know about this.
Don't play with me. Don't play with my children. And ain't no security gonna get in between me and my children, and you ain't finna gaslight me."
Kanye West can be described in a myriad of ways, and not all of them good. In fact, we can very easily list a ton of descriptors for Kanye West that none could deny, like crazy or angry, bipolar, which he himself confirmed that he is, erratic, and so on. And while part of this has been random because of his bipolar disorder, in recent months he's had a focus on where he wants to put his anger and craziness, if you will. Pete Davidson, the man who's currently dating his ex-wife, and now he's gone to a whole new level to try and insult him in the public eye.
Successful, and we will be. We have a real chance at this new world order.
New world order. New world order. New world order. New world order. A new world order. New world order. New world order. New world order.
I believe we, and particularly you, your class, has an incredible window of opportunity to lead in shaping a new world order. 21st century.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order. A new world order.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order when we are successful. We have a real chance at this new clean and honorable and out there setting the pace. I think of Dr. Fauci. Probably never heard of him. You did. Ann heard of him. He's a very fine research, top doctor at National Institute of Health, working hard doing something about research on this disease of AIDS.
Set up the foundation in Ukraine in 1990, which was 2 years before the independence of Ukraine.
Where does George Soros figure in all this?
К сожалению, везде.
Unfortunately, everywhere. If we talked about some positive results from the activities of this gentleman, then we should have noted some success. But his activity is mainly focused on those countries where he took an active position with his various funds. We remember the countries in North Africa where the Arab Spring happened. Libya, Tunisia, and Egypt. We remember the Tulip Revolution in Kyrgyzstan. We remember the Rose Revolution in Georgia. We remember the Orange Revolution in 2004. And finally, the consequences of not only the Orange Revolution, but also the Revolution of Dignity of 2013 and 2014. This is also his activity. He did not stop. He continued to operate in 2015 and 2016.
Hillary Clinton comes in as Secretary of State, and at that point she sets up a private email system. I think now it's pretty clear that part of what was going on is they were setting up the underpinnings that would set up the Madon. She introduced a program called Civil Society 2.0.
What we've done with Secretary Clinton's Civil Society 2.0 program is we've taken one of America's undeniable strengths, the strength of our technology and of our innovators, and we put them to work in service of our diplomatic goals.
This is a way for the U.S. government to work directly with NGOs like International Renaissance, funded by George Soros. And while working with those NGOs, fund money to them, but also training. And the kind of training that would be used when the Madon hits.
Chinese virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate. As you know, China tried to say at one point, maybe they stopped now, that it was caused by American soldiers. That can't happen. It's not going to happen. Not as long as I'm president. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. That's why.
Great deal of pleasure and pride that I present to you for the very first time, coming to us from Ben-Hur Shriners in Austin, Texas, the Imperial Potentate of Shriners International and the chairman of the board of Shriners Hospital.
Argued that they weren't coming for our kids. Here in Canada, we have a law called parental primacy. It essentially states that you as a parent are the primary caregiver and decision maker for your child. Quebec is the first province to remove that law, giving the government and the state full control. So if you decide that you want to keep your child unmasked or unpoked, they have the right to remove the child from your home and deem you an unfit parent.
Now, this is the second time in a week something like this has happened. On April 14th, the plane crashed into the Gem State Processing in East Idaho. What's going on here? Well, the story gets weirder. Food processing plants all over the country seem to be catching fire. A couple of days ago, a fire destroyed the headquarters of the Jour Standard, one of the largest organic food distributors in the country. At the end of last month, a fire severely damaged a fresh onion packing facility in South Texas. In Oregon, a potato chip processing plant destroyed a boiler explosion that sent workers to the hospital. Here's a news report on that.
Eastern Oregon, where crews are battling a major fire at a potato chip processing plant. Air 12 flew over the scene at Shearer's Foods on Highway 207 in Hermiston. We're told the fire was caused by an explosion of a portable boiler there. 2 people were taken to the hospital.
So industrial accidents happen, of course, but this is a lot of industrial accidents at food processing facilities at the same time the president's warning us about food shortages. They're getting hit by planes and catching fire. What is going on here exactly? Jason Rance hosts a radio show in Seattle and joins us to put it into perspective. Jason, good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, obviously when something happens every so often, you obviously hope that there's no significant damage and certainly no one gets hurt, but you kind of write it off. It's not that big of a deal. Accidents happen. But when you've got well over a dozen food processing plants and warehouses getting destroyed or seriously damaged over just the last few weeks, at a time when the food supply is already vulnerable, it's obviously suspicious, and it could lead to serious food shortages. That's why some folks are now wondering, well, number one, what's going on? And you've got some people speculating that this might be an intentional way to disrupt the food supply.
Wait, may I ask you to pause there really quick? Can I just ask you, I just want to nail this down so our viewers understand. There have been confirmed over a dozen disabling accidents at food plants in the last month, over a dozen.
Absolutely, and we're talking about some really significant plants. The Taylor Farms facility in Salinas, California was completely destroyed by a fire last week. We've had two major potato processing plants in Belfast, Maine and Warden, Washington that were completely gutted, which is happening at a time where we already have a potato shortage globally. We were talking about the onion supply at that Rio Fresh, but it's not just produce plants. Last month there was a fire that took out a Nestle food plant out in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and that's impacting frozen food brands like Hot Pockets or Stouffer's, which maybe you might buy if you can't get fresh food from a warehouse that just exploded. And that Shearer's food facility you just mentioned in the open, I mean, that's the only West Coast facility that they operate. So there is some significant concern, of course, that this is going to impact the supply chain. Now, to be clear, the timing is very suspicious. It's obviously concerning. Police are saying that these fires are due to faulty issues with equipment, so it's not saying that this was intentional. Either way, it's obviously going to have some significant, implications in us getting our food.
Yeah. An hour ago, a plane crashed into a General Mills facility. We'd already planned this segment. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The onus is on people who think that's a conspiracy theory to explain what is going on. What are the odds of that? I have no idea.
In Ag Watch tonight, a warning from the FBI. Farmers need to be on the lookout for potential hackers. The agency says cyber criminals may be more likely to go after the ag industry during planting and harvesting seasons. The FBI says 6 grain companies were targeted last fall, and 2 others have already been attacked this year. They say a major disruption of grain production would impact the entire food chain, something criminals take advantage of when trying to extort growers. They're calling on farmers to take defensive measures against potential ransomware attacks.
Strange happenings of our world for some time now. Within the span of the past year, one of the world's largest ships jammed up the Suez Canal for nearly a week. The Suez Canal being one of the world's most important trading routes. The price of fertilizers for crops have hit an all-time high. Bill Gates became the largest farmland owner in the United States. World leaders announced impending food shortages due to the war in Ukraine, with Russia and Ukraine making up more than 30% of the global wheat market, and they're considered the breadbasket of Europe. Followed by reports of the bird flu in the United States over the past month, forcing farmers to kill millions of egg-laying poultry. All of these aforementioned incidents have driven up the price of items at your grocery store. But now we shift our focus to the most recent series of strange events contributing to this price hike and potential shortage. Wondering, is it all a coincidence or something more? In some ways, it's like the ship getting stuck in the Suez was just the start, just the beginning of all these recent supply chain issues. And really, it's only escalated from there. In the last 6 months, around 20 U.S. food processing facilities have burned down. I'm going to lay them out on a timeline for you so we can look at the data and decide for ourselves if something is going on here or if there's really nothing to see, we can just move along. January 12th, 2021, Fayetteville, Illinois. The Deli Store Corporation, a processor of deli meat for military and commercial use, was destroyed by fire. No details on how the fire started. April 11, 2021. A cooker at the plant caught the whole Tyson poultry plant on fire. It went up in flames. July 26, 2021. Memphis, Tennessee. A 3-alarm fire breaks out at the Kellogg's cereal plant. Reports say fire started in the rice dryer. August 2nd, 2021, Huntsville, Alabama. Fire damages Tyson-owned feed ingredients plant. The poultry mill plant received significant damage in a fire that was said to be sparked by animal byproducts and grease.
I'm hot just like I'm Kobe. Niggas steady talking, I'm hot just like I'm Kobe.
mortality rate for COVID, I believe Ioannidis was talking about around 0.25, 26. So you've got times 4 times 3, so 12x factor, right? That's absolutely ridiculous. And let's not overlook the FDA. Under the law, pursuant to the law, the FDA has to do a balancing test when they authorize this, right? They have to balance the harms versus the potential benefits. So if you're looking at a 12x factor and the FDA approved it, I want to know who's going to jail for murder first, and conspiracy to commit murder, and conspiracy to commit fraud, and multiple fraud actions. I want to know where the independent investigation, Biden says, we're going to have a prosecutor look into the special prosecutor. Yeah, what's he going to look at? It's a Biden guy, so he's going to probably look at people like us who are spreading misinformation, right? Let me tell you about the misinformation. Everything that's came out of Fauci, the FDA's mouth, everything that Biden was stupid enough to believe, on the plus side, I don't think he actually knew what he was saying. I think the dementia is too severe. So, he might be exculpated for that. But this is absolutely unbelievable. There has to be jail time for a lot of people.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the gentleman for yielding. The Majority Leader just a few minutes ago used the term danger to our democracy. Danger to our democracy. Think about this. Democrats have closed the Capitol, allowed proxy voting, kicked Republicans off committee, won't let Republicans serve on this select committee. First time in the history of the Congress, the Minority Leader was not allowed to put on a select committee the individuals he or she selected. First time in the history of our nation. Democrats are trying to end the Electoral College, trying to end the filibuster, trying to pack the court. This committee, the January 6th committee, altered evidence and presented to the American people as if it were true. And they accuse us of being a danger to our democracy? Mr. Gates was right. We got a border that is complete chaos. We have $6 gas in California, $4 gas everywhere else in the country. We have crime at record levels in every major urban area in this nation. And we have an inflation problem that's at a 40-year high. And this committee has more contempt resolutions for a purely political reason. I think the whole committee is purely political, designed to do one thing: keep President Trump off the ballot in 2024. The gentlelady from Wyoming in her opening comments used the term false message. False, she used to say big lie, now I guess it's false message. And I just jotted down, I thought when she said, I started jotting things down. False, but think about all the false messages we've got from them in the last few years. They told us the protests in the summer of 2020 were peaceful. Got $1 billion worth of damage around our cities that says it wasn't. They told us the dossier was real. They told us it was Republicans who wanted to defund the police. That's almost laughable if it wasn't so serious for our law enforcement and for the families who live in those areas where mayors and city councils did defund the police. They told us the FBI didn't spy on the Trump campaign. We know that wasn't true. We got Inspector General reports to tell us all kinds of things about what they did in front of the FISA court. They said Trump colluded with Russia. We got a Mueller report 19 lawyers, 40 FBI agents, 30 million hard-earned American tax dollars in that report that said that false message was just that, false. They told us COVID didn't start in the lab. Sure looks like it did. They told us the lab wasn't doing gain-of-function research. Sure looks like it was. They told us the vaccinated can't get it. We know that's wrong. Every day there's a new announcement. A member of Congress is getting fully vaccinated, boosted, everything else. They told us the vaccinated can't transmit it. They told us that was wrong. And you talk about the biggest false message that's just been confirmed in the last week, how false it was. The Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. The Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. October 22nd, 2020, 2 weeks before the election, candidate Biden in a debate is asked about his son's business dealings with foreign companies. He says, quote, nothing was unethical. He said, my son has not made money with business interests with companies with an interest in China. And we all know there are 4.8 million reasons why that statement was not accurate. And how do we know? Washington Post told us. Not me, not President Trump, not Republicans. The Washington Post told us last week, 2 stories last week ago today. One at 11 a.m., one at 11:04 a.m. 2 8-page articles, 4 minutes apart, confirming what we knew, but what big media, big tech, Democrats colluded to keep from the American people just days before the most important election we have, presidential election. Who's going to be our next commander-in-chief? The laptop was real, the eyewitness was real, the emails were real. The only thing fake was that collusion from those individuals, those entities, to keep important information from we the people in the run-up to the most important election we have. And oh, by the way, they were joined by 51 former intel officials joined in the collusion. You know what's also interesting? It's funny how that story has changed. 18 months ago, started off, wasn't his laptop. Quickly switched to, well, it was his laptop, but it was Russian disinformation. And now it is, well, it wasn't Russian disinformation, but Joe Biden had nothing to do with it. Now it was, well, Joe knew what was going on, but he wasn't really involved in anything wrong. Ron Klain told us that. Chief of Staff told us that Sunday. We need to be focused on the issues that the American people want us to focus on. If you want to talk about danger to our democracy and the biggest false message, I would say what happened, one of the biggest dangers to our democracy and one of the biggest false messages is what happened 18 months ago, where that story was kept from the American people. We could dig into that, find out what went on there, why that happened, and we could also focus on the record crime, record inflation, record price of gas, and the chaos on our southern border that's about to get worse as the Democrats look to, as the Biden...
Gentleman's recognized for 30 more seconds.
Virtual Touchpad is our patented smartwatch user interface. It overcomes the limitation of the watch's small screen with a larger touchpad area and allows the user to perform complex touch gestures on the back of their hand without obstructing the watch display. Cameras at the side of the watch capture images of the fingers as well as the skin area assigned for the virtual touchpad. Touch gestures are distinguished from hovering gestures when the camera detects correlated movements of artifacts, such as blood vessels on the user's skin. Here is a hovering gesture. Notice the skin does not move in tandem with the finger. Here is a dragging touch gesture, as the skin's artifacts move along with the finger. Standard zoom and pan gestures are performed with ease. The finger drag gesture does not obstruct the screen. Tapping the corresponding location of an eye.
You. I got plenty of words for you, but at the end of the day, you and your New World Order, and the horse you rode in on, and all your
When we are successful, and we will, we have a real chance at this New World Order.
New World Order. New World Order.
New World Order.
New World Order.
What's up, everybody? Yo, one thing, y'all forgot something. Y'all, don't forget to visit the Awakening store. Hey, shh. I hear somebody coming. Okay, we good. Hey, one thing y'all need to do, y'all need to go and visit the Awakening store. If you want to lift your vibration up, hey, everything It's on eBay.